Hello, Unit 6. We are looking forward to a great conversation this morning. I noticed that all of you are doing double duty, 2 units,
Yep.
and which there's some advantage to, right? You really get to know 2 units really well. So my name's Tom Vance, and I'm a professor of education at Kansas State University, and welcome to these hearings. My colleagues are
Hey everybody, Sean Arthurs, former history teacher, current lawyer and teacher trainer, and I'm looking forward to having a conversation with you all today.
Hello, my name is Lawana Davis. I am a law professor at Samford University in Birmingham, Alabama.
and would you please introduce yourselves to us?
Hi, my name is Richard Barney.
Hi, I'm Owen Bates.
And I'm Caleb Johnson.
And we'd like to spend a little time talking with you about a set of what we have found to be very interesting questions. Specifically, Thomas Hobbes noted that life in a state of nature is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. How has the human condition changed over time, and how is that change reflected in our expectations of government? Should the principles of natural rights or classical republicanism guide policy changes designed to improve the condition of all people? What are the most pressing domestic and global challenges facing Americans today and in the future? What policies can you suggest to address them?
Thank you. May
Ready?
we begin? Humans aren't perfect. They are, as Thomas Hobbes said, brash and vicious. But that isn't all we are. Human nature is more complex. Even if we do have tendencies toward violence, we also have inclinations to cooperation and empathy. Through these predispositions, humans have been able to form clans, communities, and states where everyone can work together to target the needs of the society.
However, the advancements of these societies also correlates with the advancement of human nature. With the attainment and dissemination of knowledge, humans have become more tolerant to diversity, and working with others has become more effective. As Thomas Jefferson once said, knowledge is power, knowledge is safety, knowledge is happiness.
One of the first established empires to ever optimize the benefits of knowledge was the Roman Republic. The principles of the Roman Republic established a complex system where the common people had a voice in their government to vote on officials that represented their ideals. By instituting a representative democracy, the Roman Republic allowed the elected officials to spread their own ideas and vote on policy initiatives.
Therefore, by establishing power to both the common people and elected officials, both groups of citizens needed to be knowledgeable for the government to run effectively. Because of these circumstances, the Roman Republic promoted civic education and civic virtue. Through these teachings, people were able to form and share opinions that could help benefit the community and even the nation.
We see this today in town hall meetings, where ideas between citizens and politicians are publicly shared. By becoming more knowledgeable in the Roman Republic, citizens were able to have a greater understanding and therefore influence over the government and gain a sense of tolerance that allowed for daily civil discourse.
The Founding Fathers, very similarly, established the First Amendment to allow for the vocalization of information and ideas to both small, and large communities. They believed, as the Romans did, that by spreading knowledge, society would become more advanced, and along with it, so would the government.
As with many of its citizens, the government also gained a sense of tolerance to the diversity of ideas and knowledge. To keep up in our ever-progressing society, the government needs to update or pass new laws and policies.
To do so, the government must balance both natural rights and the common good to create the most beneficial outcome. Even though natural rights and common good philosophy have conflicting variables, it is still possible for them to coexist in today's society as the specific needs of the nation develops.
We believe that nations should turn to their citizens for their ideals and create a system of discourse among communities. As a nation formed under the consent of the governed, it is key to allow those people a say in what new policies should be.
Throughout the long and treacherous history of the United States, it has seen many periods of great divide between its people. Even so, the United States citizens have also banded together as one. As a people, we have become more inclusive and willing to allow more diversity of ideas.
However, in today's world, the pressing issue of disinformation has allowed for a great divide in the political and social controversies. Overall, obscurantism has created a thought process of I am right and you're wrong. And the accessibility of social media and other media outlets adds fuel to the fire of this divide.
As Thomas Jefferson said, the man who reads nothing at all is better educated than the man who reads nothing but newspapers. As stated in the 10th Federalist paper, we cannot remove free speech. Therefore, it is up for we, the people, to educate ourselves to be able to filter out disinformation from good information, allowing us, as Ben Franklin said, to keep up our republic.
Excellent. Thanks, y'all. Let's jump right in with, so let's imagine for a second that my favorite team, the New York Jets, actually sells out the stadium and it becomes a super spreader event in the current climate. Governor of New York comes in and says, going forward, you must wear a mask anytime you leave the house or there will be a fine. So the governor has said you must wear a mask anytime you leave the house or you will be fined. Can you tell me how proponents, people who supported the natural rights way of thinking and people who supported classical republicanism would look at this mandate by the governor?
Well, so first off, for natural rights, people who believe in natural rights, especially proponents of, say, the First Amendment and other rights of humans, they believe that, especially if they want to push for the First Amendment, that people who enforce such mandates as masks or vaccines or such on such is infringing upon their rights as a human being to express themselves freely, whether it be with the mask or with the vaccine. But if you look on the other side with classical republicanism or the common good, you can see that the push for masks and / vaccines is really good for the common good because you're trying to maintain the spread of this virus and you're trying to control it so that there is no other future issues to worry about. So that is why I think that we need to enforce these mass mandates and these vaccines so that we can protect the nation and its allies.
You cited the Roman Republic and certainly its best aspects. But of course, the Roman Empire had some darker aspects that some people are now seeing as a historical sort of shot across the water for the United States, that we might be headed towards some of the excesses of the Roman Empire. And one author who I have to credit Professor Vance for this, says that enlightened self-interest is disappearing from our society. In other words, the idea of the common good is disappearing from US society. Since you argue that the common good and the Roman Empire that in some sense sort of embraced that is the best way that we can thrive and survive, how can we solve the fact that enlightened self-interest may be, in fact, disappearing from our society?
So what many Roman philosophers saw that the common good really thrives in tight-knit communities. And with that, the government has established a federalism where state and local governments are able to form governments and solve local issues. And within those states, people are able to, the common good can really be achieved by helping out in the community as volunteering at voting booths or coaching a youth basketball team. So those small things really help for the common good.
And we see it today with the wealth of knowledge that we have at our fingertips, whether it be with our cell phones or our computers, that there has been a concurrent issue with false information, or what Trump liked to say, false or fake news. There has been this issue where people or a mass would would see a piece of information and would find it completely truthful, and no one else is correct, but I'm correct because I read this one piece. So I believe that with that issue of people becoming knowledgeable, there has to be a point where you see both sides. You have to be able to understand both sides of the argument so that you can become well educated and so that you can become someone who is knowledgeable in whatever debate you're being a part of.
But that's
And
go ahead.
and that's where education, first you must be educated in order to dissect what is from, what's fact from, what's false. You need first to educate the masses and those, so everyone is educated to decide and know what is right and what's wrong.
And if you want to talk about recent, or not recent, but events in history where we have dealt with false information or things to that nature, is the sinking of the USS Maine and yellow journalism. See, we basically used the sinking of that ship as a way for us to attack Spain, and we thought that pushing that narrative would help push the United States citizens to commend the effort to go to war with this country, but really it's just a issue of not having the availability that we have today where we can instantly look up something and have the information or do fact checks on whatever information that we've read in the media.
What happens though when your free speech and marketplace of ideas, what happens when those things, as much as we all like them, fail? Because of the very things that you're talking about, because of disinformation, fake news, whatever you want to call it, political information sorting that we live in right now. What kinds of remedies can we seek when we get duped? Frankly, the people get duped into going down a pathway that's unproductive or even unjust or unjust.
Well, that's the issue that the Washington League for Increased Transparency and Ethics tried to fix when they created a lawsuit against Fox News. So Washlight, as I'll refer to them, was trying to say that Fox News was pushing misinformation about the coronavirus and was potentially leading to people's deaths and spreading misinformation. But a district court judge said that that was incorrect because Washlight did not present enough information to prove that Fox News knowledgeably pushed false information and pushed a false narrative. So it's hard, especially when you're talking about the media, for example. It's hard to try and push for a remedy when they have such power and when there has to be such a fine line that you must cross before it can become illegal or become knowledgeable push of misinformation, which another issue comes in with the court case of New York Times v. Sullivan, because in that court case, Sullivan was trying to sue the New York Times because they were spreading misinformation about MLK Jr. and his followers or the people that were surrounding him. But again, it was dismissed because the judges were basically saying you don't have enough information to prove that the New York Times was knowledgeably pushing false information and trying to push a false narrative. So it is very difficult to try and create a remedy when you have to have such a mass amount of information and you have to be sure that you're pushing a specific point because of the rules and regulations that these media outlets have.
Looking at it in a long-term situation, one of the best remedies for this is that the government should be able, or should the government should promote education, and they should fund more education so that the younger generation can learn how to dissect what's good information from bad information.
Thank you very much. An excellent analysis of some really important issues. Again, your prepared statement was very clear, well organized, and so forth. But the rubber really meets the road in the follow-up questions, and I really truly appreciated kind of the depth of your responses. You especially that last question. You went into some detail about potential remedies, and it's a real conundrum, right? I mean, that we value free speech, and in some crazy sort of ironic way, that same value that we all hold dear can be used against ourselves in some way. And so it's a crazy thing. And Richard, you did such a nice job of kind of thinking through the
Thank you.
free speech claim. And then Owen, you followed it up with, yeah, I mean, we like free speech, and we're going to be stuck with lots of these things. And so the best antidote is education. So and I think you're right. I mean, we can't just tell the media, hey, please try to be in the middle. Just try to do it down. We can't do that, and I don't know how we would do that. So I thought you handled that. I thought you handled that very well. It was a very fine presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. I mean, I appreciate your presentation. And I appreciate that at least towards the end, you tried to kind of spread stuff around among the three of you. So good job for that. And I absolutely agree. This is a bit of a conundrum because you were faced with our individual rights for which the United States is known and valued. As a matter of fact, probably if you ask most people, what is the best thing about the United States? First thing that people say is freedom, right? And freedom to them means individual freedom. I get to do whatever I want, which sometimes is the opposite of the common good. So good job, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, team. I would double down. I mean, talk about preaching to the choir, right? You know your audience when you start telling three educators that we need more of a priority and emphasis on education. And I certainly, so that resonates. One suggestion going forward might be to look at exploring the rights and Republicanism tension like a little bit more in depth. I know you covered it and talked about it in a couple of different contexts, but if we could just expounding on that a little bit more, digging into the meat of the tension there, that would be helpful. But enjoyed it and appreciate the time. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.